Can you tell us how many countries? Can you give us a feel of, what countries, what regions Zone 1 is encompassing?
So Zone 1 is Canada, the United States, and the countries of the West Indies. So the West Indies, we have half dozen countries in the West Indies that currently have a presence in Global Council. And Trinidad is by far the biggest presence in the West Indies. So it's a big geographic area. Canada alone is such a big geographic. U.S. is alone in the Caribbean. So that's one of the boons of our modern internet age is we're connecting at a zonal level. We have programs where Canadian devotees can interact with Trinidadian devotees, can interact with U.S. devotees. So that connectivity, that oneness has become a little bit stronger through that connectivity. But it is hard in some respects to have a national conference. It would be very difficult geographically. But regional conferences like the one we're in today is a wonderful activity.
Dr. Axay, can you share some projects and initiatives undertaken by your zone that you have found really inspiring?
That's difficult because there's so many activities going on. I mean, all the time, every day of the week, something is going on. So what I can say is in the U.S., a particular project that comes to mind is the seva. They call it an open market seva. And what they've done is they've set up a marketplace with goods, as you would go into a marketplace, cans of foods and vegetables and supplies and toiletries, and they lay it out as an open market, and families can come and select the items that they need. And they strategically picked an area where there are lots of refugees. And what happens with refugees is they're not here legally, and so they're not tapped into the infrastructure of the government, and they're very afraid to come forward. So they're left. And Swami always wants us to go where the need is and address the needs in our community. So there was the local people saw the need was there, and it turned into a monthly project. 5 different centers from New Jersey came together. And it was such an elevating project that our Sri Sathya Sai Global Council Foundation, when they heard about the project, we wanted to get involved and supported some of that as well.
That's amazing. So has this spread into other areas?
So it started out with 1 center,
okay,
and it spread to 5 centers in that area. And I think this is a concept that can spread even wider.
Could you discuss an achievement that has had a profound effect on the local community? And what do you think our part was in making it a success?
One thing comes to mind is in Trinidad, in our zone, in the West Indies, there's a beautiful project where they reached out to a juvenile prison. So these are young men and women that made some bad decisions and had to be isolated in society. So the Sai Center has been quarterly visiting them and bringing in multi-faith prayers, because some of them are Christian, some of them follow Islam, some of them are Hindus. And Trinidad is a multicultural society. And so they bring in multicultural, multi-faith initiatives. They have talks, they share values, they play games. And the feedback from the inmates has been they just look forward to those visits. They find it very transformative. They get introduced to values, helping them set the right foot to move back into society and integrate. That's been very elevating.
So how do you incorporate Swami's teachings within these projects and initiatives across the zone?
And I think that's a good question, because I think that should be our mindset, is anytime we engage with the community, yes, we want to do seva, but the seva can be so much more meaningful, both for the person performing the seva and the person receiving the seva, if it's not only done with love, not only providing a material comfort or something bodily need that needs to be addressed, but more importantly, introducing principles. We've been given these sacred principles from Bhagwan, the wisdom of the ages, just distilled into such a simple, understandable format. So when one of the things, going back to one of the seva projects, is when they hand out sandwiches, they would wrap the sandwiches in a saying of Bhagwan's, love all, serve all, or a quote. And one of the feedback we got from the participants is they look forward to the quote more than the sandwich. So introducing these values, because they're inherent in us. So when we when we share them, they resonate with people. And so whatever seva we're doing, we want to show how using love, using truth, using nonviolence, using peace, using right action in every step of the way is very fruitful, and it makes life richer. And so, of course, it's not something that we're separately packaging to them and saying, you need to follow these human values. We just subtly, subliminally introduce those concepts because they're naturally inherent in everything we do. So we demonstrate it more than we talk about it, and then we can mention a few things as well.
Perfect.
Another project that I think is very inspiring is from Canada. Several of the devotees, many of them alumni from Bhagwan's institutions, felt like they wanted to capture the poems that Bhagwan would many times start his discourses or embed them in his discourses, the padyams. These beautiful poems that are just melodically beautiful, and the message is so sweet and relevant. So they've taken an initiative where they're releasing one padyam every month or so, or every other week, and I think they're up to 26. And what they do is they'll analyze it, they'll translate it, they'll discuss it, talk it just like a study circle so we can understand it. So then people that don't speak Telugu, like myself, are learning the beauty of the language of the avatar, and learning these beautiful padyams.